Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Still in the chapter of marriage, nikah. So, I think everybody was here yesterday, correct?
Nasser wasn't.
No, he was here. So, what is the final say about nikah al-muta? Halal or haram?
Haram.
Haram, correct? Why? Because the ahadith in this matter are quite clear. There's more than one hadith, correct? By multiple Sahaba, and two of the hadith are narrated by who? Ali ibn Abi Talib. And that's very important to mention this, that two of the hadith are narrated by Ali ibn Abi Talib. And many Sahaba confirm that nikah al-mut'ah, marriage just for the purpose of pleasure, it's a temporary marriage. It is forbidden based on what they've heard from the Prophet ﷺ, both in the Battle of Khaybar and in after the conquest of Mecca. Okay, and that was near the end of his life. And also we know that it is haram not only from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, but also from what the Khulafa al-Rashidin adopted as well, and how they basically did not allow anybody to engage in such false marriage. Umar al-Khattab threatened to whip or stone people who do this, and Ali ibn Abi Talib himself threatened to do the same, and they went very strongly against whoever felt it was halal, such as which of the Sahaba held the opinion that it is allowed? Ibn Abbas. And he held the opinion that it is allowed. There's more than one opinion from Ibn Abbas. One of them is that he felt it was allowed. The second opinion was that he felt it's only allowed at the time of necessity. He resembled it to eating, for instance, a dead animal when you're about to die, but nobody's going to die from not having sexual intercourse, seriously. And then the third opinion is that he felt it was halal, and then he came back, and all these are narrations related to Ibn Abbas. Maybe he went through stages. Maybe initially he felt it was halal, and then when he felt the Sahaba were so much against him in this opinion, to the extent that Ali ibn Abi Talib himself said to him, "Innaka rajulun ta'ih," you are a confused man. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, who was also Khalifa over Mecca, he said to him, أنت رجل أعمى الله قلبه بصره وقلبه. He says, you're a man whom Allah has blinded his sight and his heart. طبعا they can say this to each other. We can't say this kind of thing to the Sahaba, but they were at the same level. They may say things like this, especially when it comes to matters of deen. They don't normally say this to each other when it comes to dunya, matters related to dunya. But when they felt that the opinion of Ibn Abbas was very dangerous and could result in so much corruption, the children born from that marriage basically have no home. Who would say something like this is allowed? Even if you just use your mind. It is a temporary marriage. It ends after a certain period, whatever period you've decided upon, a week, a month, a year. So what if children happen? And they will happen, and they're still happening. In Iran, as we mentioned, children have no parents and no house to go to. What is this? Subhanallah.
Also, it goes against all the rulings that we have for the marriage.
Exactly, it goes against the rulings of marriage because they don't inherit. The wife from mut'ah does not inherit, and that is wrong. She has no rights whatsoever. Who would accept something like this? And also, there's no limit. It's not limited by 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Unlimited. A person can have 4 wives, according to people who think it is halal, which is totally wrong. And only one sect, which is a very small minority sect, which is the Shia, al-Ithna Ashriya, said that. Even the moderate Shia go against it and say it is haram. The Zaydiyya, the Zaydi Shia say it is haram. The Khawarij Ibadiyya say it is haram. This is all this just a summary from the last class, okay? So we go to the next hadith. عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال لعن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المحلل والمحلل له رواه أحمد والنسائي. Hadith sahih. This hadith basically forbids somebody marrying a woman just to make her halal for her original husband. So if somebody divorces his wife 3 times, she becomes permanently haram for him, permanently prohibited for him to take her back, unless she marries somebody else. So some people may think, okay, I'm going to arrange with a friend of mine or with some man and pay him some money or something. He marries her for a day or 2 and then he divorces her for her to become halal to him again.
I know this happened in India, and the person who married the wife, he then said after he married her,
I'll keep her.
I'll keep her.
Actually, this has happened so many times. I've heard so many stories like this. Somebody goes to his best friend, "Oh, you're my best friend. Why don't you come and marry my wife for a night or two?" And he does that, and then he says, "I don't even know you." So this is the hadith. It is forbidden. A person is cursed. The person who asks for this and the person who helps in it, both of them are cursed by this hadith. Let me read the hadith to you. Narrated in Mas'ud, Allah's Messenger ﷺ cursed the man who made a woman lawful for her first husband and the one for whom she was made lawful for.
But this
No.
means it's valid in marriage?
No, the marriage is not valid, and she does not become halal to him. The marriage does not become valid, because any marriage that is forbidden in Islam, forbidden, totally forbidden, it becomes just like zina. It becomes as if it never took place, invalid. Okay? So let me tell you something about this as well. If somebody divorces his wife 3 times and she's prohibited for him forever, and then she just happens to marry somebody else, just happens, normal marriage, and it just happens that they divorced for some reason, she can go back to him. How many more divorce chances does he have? 3 more. That's very important. Basically, the clock is reset for him. The talaq is reset for him. There's another hadith in which Prophet ﷺ says, ألا أخبركم بالتيس المستعار قالوا بلى يا رسول الله قال هو المحلل لعن الله المحلل والمحلل له. التيس, how do we translate تيس? You know the male goat is called تيس in Arabic. What do you call that in English? The male goat.
Just goat.
Goat?
Just goat.
What is the female goat called? Goat as well?
Yeah.
So in Arabic, alhamdulillah, it has 2 different names. So a taish is the male, okay? And the ma'iz is the female. So it's for us, it's clear, alhamdulillah. So Prophet ﷺ says, أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِالتَّيْسِ الْمُسْتَعَارِ. Should I tell you about the hired male goat? So he described him as a goat, and that he is paid money for this. And then he says, this is a man who does this kind of action. He goes just to marry a woman, just to make her halal for her original husband. Because the condition for her to be halal, is it just to have a marriage contract or to actually consummate the marriage? Yes, both. It has to be consummation of marriage. She cannot just go and write a marriage contract and that's it. No. It has to be complete marriage.
So
And what?
Even if the intention was to get married and live and consummate, but it did not consummate, she still is not allowed.
It's not halal.
Okay.
There's a
Even if
hadith.
the intention was there.
Yes, absolutely. There's a hadith on this matter specifically. حسناته وذوق عسيلته. نعم. The Prophet ﷺ says no, because somebody came to him and says, "Oh, this happened to my wife. I'm happy. She just married and she never consummated the marriage. Can I have her back?" He says, "لا, no, you can't. حتى تذوق عسيلته ويذوق عسيلته." He says, "No, until he tastes her sweetness and she tastes his sweetness." That's the meaning of this hadith. Now, so الحديث يدل على تحريم التحليل والنهي يقتضي البطلان. لما النهي يعني يوجه لأمر معين، معنى هذا الأمر معنى ذلك أن هذا الأمر باطل شرعا لا يصح، ليس له أساس. Because the prohibition is directed towards this kind of marriage, this makes this marriage invalid right away. Okay? If the prohibition is directed to something that is related to the marriage, not inside the marriage contract itself, then we have some say. Such as, for instance, the marriage of without a wali. Imam Abu Hanifa said it's okay. It is directed. So the scholars did not consider it as zina. They said he has to divorce her. They considered it يعني a marriage that is fasid وليس باطل. It is a corrupt marriage. They called it a corrupt marriage. But here the marriage is totally invalid. Totally invalid. Okay? There's no difference in opinion on this matter. The prohibition is directly towards that kind of marriage. Now. Okay, inshallah, we will stop here.